am Exie.
And I am Lini.
Together, we bring you African Teapot Podcast. Journey with us through Africa's vast variety of culture and heritage to discuss how this affects families both home and abroad.
Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode on African Teapot. And before we get into today's topic, just want to wish a happy Mother's Day to our listeners and to mothers of our listeners, because Mother's Day is on the 8th and we are doing this before the 8th. But again, we still want to wish everybody, every mother, every auntie or mother-to-be as well, a happy Mother's Day. And hope all of us have a good week, including you, Lini.
Oh, wow. I was about to be like, am I in this episode? But yes, happy Mother's Day to every mom, every to-be mom, every going-to-be mom.
Yeah, and if you have those messages that you want us to share on our social platforms, right, like Instagram or
Facebook?
Yeah, I just got brain froze. I didn't think that. But if you have any messages you want to pass on, like we did last year, right? We had a complete episode for that. And then you reach out to us, DM us, or anywhere you can get to us, we're available. Just contact us and we would share that information or make that shout out a little bit more special for you or your loved one. Right, Lini? So, getting into the gist of today. Today is a heavy topic. If you've already seen on our social platform, Instagram and Facebook, we were already kind of talking about this, and we already said from last episode we're going to talk about this topic. And on our social platform, like we promised, we kept the conversation going, asked a few questions to see what you guys think and your take. And so we are here to talk about everything, right?
Let's get digging.
Let's get it started.
So, I am going to read the post we had that kind of like got the conversation started on Instagram.
Yes.
So here it goes. It's by Anonymous. We never put names in there, or we try not to unless they specifically say it's okay. So it's no name, it's Anonymous, and it reads, "My story has so many parts, but I will start by saying I lost my father 5 years ago and my life has never been the same. It is just my mom, younger sister, and I. My mom bought and sold dry fish in Bambili, Bamenda after my father passed. This was barely enough to keep us going. I had to stop school due to the riot crisis in Bamenda, and I joined my mother in the market, which was not doing well. Long story short, my father's friend, Mr. Samuel, came by and offered us hope by providing a better house and supporting my mom's business. He said we should move closer to him and I could help around his house since his family is in Boya. My mom was so happy and felt now things could be better. Suddenly he threatened me that if I don't sleep with him, he will not pay for my mom's operation and throw us out on top of... He will not pay for my mom's operation and throw us out on top of it. He will beat me. Now he's being nice to my sister who is only 15. I can't take it anymore. My mom sings his praises even though she can tell something is off. In capital letters, help is the last word." Sorry for my reading whoopsie. I didn't say I was the smartest in the bunch, y'all.
We are not perfect here. We are not perfect. It's okay. Okay. That message has too many parts, like she said. When she emailed that, and actually the emails and conversation with her is still going on, like Lini. We are still talking with her, and a lot more has happened after this initial email, right? There's been a lot more exchange. But as you can tell from the initial email, there is a lot going on in there. Personally, I feel like there was a lot of need, like her family was in need, definitely. It's kind of like they needed a godfather or godmother, right? In African terms. And we can see definitely that that's what is in the message. At the same time, we see that somebody stepped into that role of trying to provide for them and was given that respect as uncle, you know.
Almost like a godfather.
Yeah, and when I heard that, I don't, for some reason, the name Pa Sam came to my I don't know
What?
why. His name is Samuel. I just thought like Pa Sam, or they're calling him Uncle Sam. Like
Pa Sam?
in terms of African
Yo,
sense.
listen, y'all.
It came to my head.
Right here. Y'all's host.
So, not to make this light, this is serious, right? But I pictured somebody in my mind because we are from I know the culture, so I know how someone comes in and immediately fills that role, especially if it was someone they already knew before their dad passed. So he already was uncle, if you know what I'm saying, in quotes, guys. He was already uncle. So now this uncle has come and has provided them shelter and, you know, food and going to school and things like that. Because when you speak to her, there's a lot more going on, because I spoke to the mom. And so you can tell he rendered a lot of help. And gradually this help transcended into, I personally would say, abuse, right? It was kind of like, now I'm helping you for something else, for sexual, you know what I mean? Like sexual favors.
Don't shy away from letting your voice be heard. Join the social media community and tell us what you think. And technically, if we look at it at this point, isn't she earning the money? Because she's doing sexual favors. So she's earning that money. Then he moved them closer. So it's domestic help and sexual favors and abuse. So she's earning her money. And I'm not saying that because it's normal, like a friend helps you, your friend needs to move, you go over there and you help. Now, we're not talking about that.
Right.
But I'm talking about the part where they are giving, obviously, something back. I don't think she volunteered to go do domestic help.
No.
So he is getting something out of it and is abusing. He moved them closer. I don't even think was for domestic help. He moved them closer to continue to have access to her.
Facts.
So, just saying.
Well, I didn't think about it like that until you said it, where it's like, technically, she's not getting it for free, right? We are not saying there's a price tag on abuse, obviously, but it's their dignity as a family, her dignity as a person, and a young woman that is being given up for the help. This uncle or Pa Sam.
If you say Pa Sam one more time,
I'm sorry, guys. But Pa Sam is rendering to the family. And he's abusing the entire family. Because she has concerns about the younger sister as well.
You know, in the first place, the idea about help, especially I think when you go to Africa, is something else. Africa in the first place we're seen as, don't forget, it wasn't too long ago where it was a dark continent, right?
Right.
So it is seen as a breeding ground for help in the first place.
True, charity.
So whenever you say Africa, I remember you say it and people say, oh, the kids on the TV, the empty plates. And I'm like, the fact that someone can say that in your face is, so what do you say when my back's turned? Like, shouldn't you say the worst part when, like, I can't hear you, but when you say it to my face, I'm like, but anyways, guys, keep me focused, okay? I tend to get distracted. Whoops.
Well, generally, I agree with you. Generally, when you talk about Africa, you're right. The first thing that pops in most people's mind around the world is charity, is need for help, lack, poverty, illiteracy. All of these things are what comes to people's minds when you mention Africa as a continent. And then when you look at things when they want to talk about Africa, things like refugee issues come up, the drought issues in some areas of Africa, famine in some areas of Africa, with the high unemployment rates, also kind of highlights a need for us all the time. always highlights like we are always wanting something. And then even us, when we go out, most of us, like it or not, Lini, most of us, we also portray like we are coming from a place of destitution because we are trying to get things out of people as well. You have people exploiting.
I mean, true.
Yeah, so help is both ways, the person giving help and the person receiving, because we also have situations where you render help to someone and then they in turn abuse the help you're rendering.
True.
But in this case, for this girl, you understand, they were rendered help, and then their dignity as a family, their dignity as a woman is being taken. So it's both ways. It can be abused both ways.
And I feel like it's a cycle. Like, there is unemployment, there is so many things going on that lead parents to have to make this difficult choice. I don't think any mom or dad's choice is for any of their kids to go to this situation. I don't think they want to have to choose if, is my kid going to eat or are they going to go to school? Are they going to have a pair of shoes or are they going to go bare feet? I don't think that's anyone's choice, but our society has made it, with the riots, with the unemployment, with everything that's going on, with corruption and everything, it's gotten to the point where a parent has to choose what to give their kid, and they find themselves in this situation. And the kids in turn, I feel like why sometimes it ends up being a cycle is the kids in turn see how much the parents are struggling, and they know if I go tell mommy and daddy that Uncle Sam or Past Sam is molesting me or doing this, mommy would turn down this help, then mommy will go back to suffering to feed us, and the other people will go back to suffering. So I feel like it's a bad cycle. Mommy takes the help to help the children, the child tolerates and endures the treatment for the parent and them, and it just keeps going. And it's almost like at which point do you find a break in the cycle to give, I'm not saying these people because I'm one of them, so to give us a break from this cycle.
True. Facts. And that's a valid question that we all should have in the back of our minds. What do we do then? But I think the first thing is we need to identify people that are at risk for falling prey to such things. And again, let's keep in the back of our heads, like I said, help in this situation, when we talk about the dark side of help, is you rendering help, someone abusing it, or someone giving you help and abusing it. Yeah. It's both ways. It's like a coin with two sides.
Sis.
Right? So what are those things, Lini, you think, or what are those signs that sometimes when people have, or situations that people find themselves in, they become prey to this kind of help that comes like with the backhand of abuse, or a backhand of you over doing something for some little help somebody gave you help of bread, and now your entire family is like, depending on this person, or you are indebted to this person.
But it's the same thing, like if like,
you already mentioned one. You mentioned.
I know that's what I'm saying, but I'm saying is whenever there are certain signs, I'm not saying everybody in this category fits into this mold, but they're just risk, let me put it that way, risk factors, right? Whenever you find orphans, people with only like one parent, because our economic situation is so hard that two parents is barely enough to provide for a child and a family. So when you already see one parent, well, do they have enough? You find an orphan, no parent. Okay, grandma is having to feed this kid when grandma barely put her own 4 children through. Now she's older, and now she used all her resources, and she's raising another child at this point. And then when you come to the single parents, it could be single parents maybe due to the death of one person or the other. It could be a single parent because maybe there just is not a mom who doesn't want to be there, or just a dad who isn't there. Mm-hmm. Could be any of those situations. It could be someone who has this is bad, family history of poverty. I beg,
poverty,
please.
die.
Please don't come for me. But you just see some families that have gone through the same cycle over and over. They probably need a break or help at some point, right? Or it could be just one person who is low on funds. That person who is low on funds is susceptible to people, is practically being preyed on at that point. I wouldn't say maybe lack of education sometimes, because in Africa too, education, or I would say anyway, education opens doors. Now, when I say education, I don't mean you having a university degree and coming over here to hit me with your certificate. I mean being learned enough to read, write, and it taking you through. Some of the biggest business people don't have degrees, right? All they have is probably class 5, class 6 education, to where you can count money, you can read, and you have a business
GCE,
mind.
ordinary or advanced levels.
Yeah, so that is just what I'm saying. I'm just saying. But I just feel like those are the kind of people who unfortunately are usually like high ticking bombs, or like just unfortunately fall in this situation. If y'all can think of anybody else, because I'm pretty sure there's some other
categories.
Yeah. Anything else we missed, please, we'll be more than happy to take them too.
Sure. And to add to what you said too, I think people who are not socially educated, this is not education you get in the classrooms, because most times our classrooms are lacking in these things. People who do not identify or who are not versed to sit down and read situations and see situations that you should approach them with caution. You should protect your child, right? Because this theme also falls with the Mother's Day theme. That's one thing that also brought up this topic. And in Africa, that saying that it takes a village to raise a child is literal. Like, we mean literally. Because sometimes we have parents who are not socially educated enough to read social dangers. Like a guy who comes across like Uncle Sam or Pa Sam, who, I'm sorry, he has predatory behavior. He comes, you understand, you see the way he's being nice to her and he's being nice to the younger sister. If she can identify that the way he's behaving with the younger sister is you understand, he's having this he's a predator. But you see, the mom isn't reading the signs. So sometimes you have situations where somebody socially is not reading the red flags because the help surpasses it. This girl is sleeping with him, true, but she is aware he is a predator. You get? So sometimes we also need to identify that as a society, we don't have enough sensitization out there. We don't have enough information to teach parents red flags. You understand? Nobody would take care of your child better than you.
And teaching parents the red flags, teaching kids to be louder and like speak up, because think about it. When you grow up back home, the quiet ones who never talk, who say the yes, are the best ones. But she needs to be loud. I'm not saying she obviously she unfortunately found herself in that situation, but I think empowering the voices of children now, and I'm not preaching for disrespect, I'm not preaching for any of that. I'm saying empowering a child enough to know when to speak up and to stand up for themselves is something that's getting pretty big and pretty important as the world starts to open up and it's becoming one
people big we have crazy people out here. That means people then decrease. We have crazy people out here. There are people who have the sexual desires they have. There is child trafficking, sex trafficking. There are crazy things out there. Again, I think we as a community, we just need to work on it. But before we get into the possible solutions, possible breaks and checkpoints we can put, let's look at those things that people usually, right? Because we are talking about red flags and educating people on red flags. What are those things that people would render to you in the name of help? You know, that thing they use to come as the sheep, meanwhile they are the wolf. What are some of those things? You would say,
I would say one of the first things, because we constantly are looking for a way out of the bad situation, and parents are, and we believe that the way out of the situation is education. Right. I would say education is the first thing they bring swinging. Oh, give your kid to me, she'll live with me and I'll send her to school. Give me your son, I'll teach him a trade or whatever at that point. I would say education is the first flag that is being swung, because they know that's the most enticing offer.
Yeah.
Every parent wants their kid to have a leg forward, and all they're thinking of is education. Maybe if my kid's there for 10 years, they'll be done. They'll be able to help the younger ones, and it's just...
Yeah. And I think one other very immediate reason, like a now reason, is food and shelter.
True.
Because when a widow is thrown out, when the in-laws have taken things and she's lost her husband and they've lost their source of income, can't pay rent and stuff, the first thing is accommodation. When somebody says, come stay with me, somebody says, I'm going to put a roof over your head, or you haven't eaten, come and you'll be able to eat, I'll buy food, things like that. It attracts, what it does is it makes you lower your guard, lower your walls. You understand? You are not as sensitive anymore, or you're not as guarded anymore. So it provides this sense of trust. When somebody offers you food, shelter, money, you understand these things, or opportunity. In our African societies and communities, the opportunity to travel to bigger cities, to travel out of the country. I will take your child abroad. I will find you Doki line. We have different fancy names for it. You understand? Different names we give, but that when somebody provides or gives you this promise for a better opportunity, for a better world out there, we put down our guns. We put down that protective layer we have as parents and as children. And immediately we do that, the predator is in. They have made you trust them, and they would always be nice during the first couple of, sometimes years. It takes sometimes 1-2 years for these people to actually come out, for you to see what their intentions are. And at that time, it's too late. You understand? At that time, you're only trying to save what you can barely save, but you've already been used, right? And the same thing goes for people who just offer help to people off of the street as well. We need to be cautious as a society. We know that we are the good Samaritan, we are raised with that way of thinking. But when you are bringing somebody into your home, into your family, it is your responsibility to check on those people, whether you're the one rendering help or you're the one receiving it. Like in this case study we have, they received it. And like I said, there is more to the story. We're going to get into it. There is more I discussed with them, like Lini, you already know. But I also think one other very important thing that is a big drive in our African community is spiritual breakthrough. When pastors, spiritual leaders, I don't care if odu, I don't know, whoever you believe in, when somebody comes with a spiritual breakthrough, or I spiritually saw that if you do this, your life is going to change, your story is going to change. Churches, all these people that come with these grandeurs, you understand? Because we are because of the poverty, we believe in the miracles as well as a community and as a society. So we find ourselves falling prey to spiritual leaders as well.
And it's unfortunate because miracles do exist, strong men of God do exist, and miracles do happen. But we have all this I feel like this is a whole different topic, but we have now this, fake people coming.
You said that. You know what I thought of?
To cloud the good ones. And it's even hard to tell, like, why are you making religion hard? Like,
right, and then you're praying on people who are already in vulnerable situations. Like this family. The more I spoke to them, and I spoke to her, and I had a chance to speak to her mother, I realized that there was a spiritual side to it. They had somebody who was a pastor, and when we were trying to push for help, and because if you followed us on social media, you would realize that this lady who is here in the States, but she does have little chemists and pharmacies in Bamenda, Boya, and Bafoussam, right? New York, where she reached out wanting to employ this girl and move the family. And it was a big, thankfully now they've been moved actually to Bafoussam, but it was a big problem receiving and accepting this help because a pastor was in the middle refusing and saying if they move, then it means the other guy would see it that it's a slap on his face because he's helped them and they're ungrateful. Do you see that? But this girl was being molested, and she is saying there are dangers of the younger sister being molested. And here we had a pastor we were on the phone. We had it was like a 4-way call, and he was there, and everything, the preaching he was doing, I'm like, okay, that's good, but let's be practical. We can't make these children or this young girl and the younger sister accessible to a predator. You see, and that's why I say spirituality is one thing that also comes in play. People who are in a leadership role, or people who are leaders in their communities, whatever spiritual capacity, when people have surrendered their faith to you, we can't also abuse them. Those are also red flags and signs that we should be aware of and tell our loved ones back home. That's just, sorry, I think I climbed the rails there, but
I mean, I think you already took us through the resolution that kind of happened for them. So I mean, we got it ahead of time, but we got it.
Yeah. And again, now it brings us now to this: who shares the responsibility as a society, right? You see the situation of this girl. Her name keeps trying to come out, but I'm trying not to mention her name. We see this story. Who is responsible? Who or what part should go to whom? You understand? So it's kind of like, what should we do and who should do it at the end of the day for a better society and things like this? I think the government.
It's a vicious cycle. Like
I think the government is
employment.
Yeah.
We need better opportunities. We don't need to be in that situation in the first place. Parents, you need to look more, you need to listen more. I'm not in any way blaming her. She was trying the best she could. Given the situation, I doubt she wanted. She's young. She was not hoping for her husband to die anytime soon. So she was making the best of the situation. But in the story, she also said, my mom can tell something is off. But as is common, I'm sorry, sometimes in our culture, it's just a child. It's being ignored as well.
Oh, that's what happened, actually.
Also, for the child to be louder. If your mom can tell something is wrong, come out and say it. She's not a mind reader too. Come out and say it. Say it. You tell the first person. Say it louder. Say it mightier. This man, I doubt, wants everybody knowing that this is what he does.
Right.
Even bullies, do you call a bully and you don't get bullied? Like, of course. Like, I don't think anyone wants that. That's why if someone's a thief, call a thief a thief. You all are gonna fight. So I don't think this man wants that. Say it louder, say it bigger, and you need to reach to the right places too. I'm not saying walk over to someone you know will support him and blah 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 blah. Also look for the right people to invest this complaint in. So I don't know, I'm sure they're pretty.
No, they are. Like, I'm agreeing with you. The government has to do more to protect children, especially minors. They have to do a lot more for it. I think also when we look at parents, guardians, and family members, parents, it is your responsibility, especially dealing with children. I get what you're saying, Lini, in terms of empowering young minds, which is, I'm all for that. But parents cannot be. For me, I think it's zero excuse. If it's over here, they're going to report you to CPS. Let's be real. Like, you can't allow someone molesting your kid because you are in between a rock and a hard place. No, that is 100% your responsibility. You're supposed to provide shelter, you understand, education, good health. It is your responsibility as a parent to a child, unless it's an adult. But this girl is not an adult. This girl started being molested when she was still a minor, and now even when she's an adult, she's seeing signs of her younger sister, who is a minor, still being, you understand, this guy is still circling around them. So as a mother, there is nothing like, massa don't die, so I no be nothing for you. No, it is your fault 100%. Go, and I think sometimes people need to know what their responsibilities as parents are before you go around having kids. We need to educate people. You don't just have a kid and then say, I'm unable. And then you take that kid and give to a family member, and the family member is molesting. Or take and give to a trusted family friend, like in the case of Uncle Sam and things like that. I mean, it's so frustrating. And when I spoke to them on the phone, it took everything not to lose it. But you can't lose it because you are trying to help. And at this point, we are trying to help through words. Because the mother did not understand what molesting meant when we were speaking on the phone. But the girl assured me she told her mother before we were trying to move them to Bafoussam, right? To the point I had to get, when I mean naked with the lady, that's what I mean, in naked conversation, like, Mommy, molestation means say, and I literally said the words. I don't want to say it on here, but you guys know what I mean. I literally had to say the words for the mom to be shocked. She screamed on the phone for her to understand what it meant. And I'm like, no, we need to understand as parents, this is a crime.
But I mean, it's also the cycle. Like you said, the girl said she'd said it, but she hadn't.
Yeah, she went and told the mom, I've been molested. And I think they want to do it to the younger one. The mother said, so when I asked the mom thought maybe he's correcting them too harshly. That's what she thought molesting meant. You understand? And in my mind, I didn't want to hash down on the mother, but I felt even if he's correcting your children too harshly, that is still abuse, right? Your kids shouldn't be in that situation simply because that guy is paying shelter for you or something. And which brings us to the next part. When these parents or human beings are in this kind of position, these NGOs, we have law enforcement, we have, right, traditional representatives like quarter heads, the little fawns and chiefs. What are these people there for? They are there to come and kind of like do intervention in families in this kind of situations. But we don't see them doing it. Nobody does it. If she goes reports to the police, then what? You see what I'm saying? So there are a lot of broken infrastructures there.
A broken system.
Cracked, shattered system.
Oh.
Because where would she go? If she goes to church, like I said, the pastor, I spoke with him on the phone, is the one saying they should stay there because they're providing shelter. But in my reasoning, I thought you, the church, should be able to provide shelter for her and get her out of this place of abuse, then proceed to report to the police. You would think the church is in a better position to do that. But here we had the spiritual leader saying something else. Right? And what you said, Lini, independent thinking of young adults, like you said, empowering the young minds. And again, I also think that schools and teachers is another place where I think people are passive, but they should be a little bit more vocal. When you see children who are abused, you see teachers chasing little young girls or boys or whatever you see, please report it. This is not okay. Please report it. Don't say, I helped her. You have a teacher saying that I helped you pass a class. What? You help someone pass a class and then sexual favors is the answer?
Apparently.
So I just think as a society we need to do better. And our government needs to be held accountable for that. Which is what you're saying. It's hard for a mother to go for help when there is no help. So at the end of the day, it's like their children are sacrifices.
Because then you would even ask, where would she go report? It's broken and it's cracked. But
I just think each and every one of us should start. We should try and we should start sending out the word and educating, because speaking to the mother on the phone, you realize there's a lot of ignorance. She wasn't even aware. You understand? She doesn't know. But that story, and it's successful. They moved to Bafoussam. The little girl is the girl in question who wrote to us is not working. Is not working there at one of the pharmacy. The younger sister is enrolled now in school because we understand the Anglophone crisis in Bamenda. But now she's enrolled in a lycée there in Bafoussam, and we told them to cut ties with this Uncle Sam because he was calling them and insisting actually. And hopefully they have, she checks out. So this probably happened maybe, just a week back, that everything, they settled into the new job and everything like that. And I'm glad, and she keeps in touch with us. So that's a good one for African Teapot. Yay. Lini, that's a good one. And I'm so glad that we got them out of that cycle of abuse. And hopefully it really stops. I pray now it's the healing, emotional healing for her to
find a better
exactly place. Because emotionally we know the damage that can cause on to a person, right?
Yeah.
And I think that brings us to the end of our rant.
Okay, Teapot people.
So guys, if there's anything we left out, right, Lini? Let us know.
Tell us. And
our next topic we are thinking about for
next topic. It's okay. this is a question we have. We're going through the different topics and we're like, what can we do? And we'll post these questions too on the social platforms, so don't worry about it, we got you. But whenever we say potency test, and this is for men, mind you, whenever we say potency test, what would you think that constitutes of? Like,
what comes to mind?
Like, what comes to mind?
And I sip while I ask that question.
I know, like, how would you think it's done? Like, I just want to know your thoughts, your ideas, what you think.
We have a very juicy topic behind it, so if you let us
I like to think they're all juicy.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's, well, I don't know, for me it was intriguing. But like we said, keep an eye on our social platforms. You know, we always have something going on there, some fun videos behind the scene, or what we do with our friends, you know, just little hangouts, just, you know, keep everything lively and fun. So until then, again, happy Mother's Day. Let us know if you have your shout outs. We'll make it special, right, Lini? We're here to make it special. I'm going to put some more information as to our story, our case study for today. I'm going to let you guys know. I know a lot of you had questions about that, so we'll, you know, bring you guys up to speed. So at this juncture, we are going to end, and we are going to see you same time next month.
Have a
Thank you guys.
Next month, and hope you had a good last month. Peace.
Peace. Thanks for listening, and make sure to join us for our next episode.
Follow African Teapot on both Instagram and Facebook for daily inspiration and motivation.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, African Teapot Podcast.